One of the main achievements that gave a serious impetus to the development of human civilization was the domestication of various animals. Throughout almost the entire history of modern man, they have been met with them. Some of them serve as assistants in various activities, others are bred to obtain food. There are even animals that don't bring any practical benefit but still live in our homes. Today, we'll talk about how and why man tamed animals and when this happened. By subscribing to the Age of Dinosaurs channel, you'll be able to learn about the release of new videos before other users. We also encourage viewers to more actively express their opinions through likes and comments. These actions help in the promotion and development of the channel. Dogs became people's first pets. According to the most common version, this happened about 14,000 years ago in the Middle East or Southeast Asia. But there's another theory. At one of the sites of ancient people, in the Chauvet Cave in France, traces of a wolf and a child were discovered. They were located in the same geological layer. Their age, according to various estimates, ranges from 26 to 33,000 years. But besides wolves, the supposed ancestors of domestic dogs may be jackals or the so-called proto-dogs, which are currently an extinct species. Of course, this did not happen overnight. Wild predatory animals and humans gradually developed a mechanism for coexistence beneficial to both species. Wolves, or other predators, often approached human camps. Apparently, at some point, some of them decided that they could get food from a person not only by attacking. The hunters gave away some pieces of their prey, and the animals did not allow anyone else to approach the sites. Gradually, natural selection occurred in favor of the most friendly animals. Others could not find a common language with people and remained in the forests and steppes. Being social animals, dogs are distinguished by loyalty and high intelligence. Over time, they become part of many human cultures, friends and family members of many people. They became indispensable hunting assistants and also guarded the homes of their owners. There's also an opinion that people kept small dogs with them in case of hunger. But the first reliably known breeds bred by people appeared in the Middle East about 5.5 thousand years ago. It's noteworthy that the wild relatives of modern dogs practically do not bark, but our pets use this tool all the time. It's believed that people kept the noisiest dogs with them because they used them as alarms. Gradually, this genetic predisposition became established as one of the important characteristics. Between 10 and 12,000 years ago, sheep, goats, pigs, and cows were domesticated in the Middle East and Southwest Asia. These important farm animals allowed people to move from hunting to breeding species for food. The emergence of cattle breeding allowed humanity to switch to a sedentary, or at least not completely nomadic lifestyle. The sheep became the second animal to be domesticated by humans. This happened about 12,000 years ago. Its ancestors considered to be the wild sheep, mouflon. Outwardly, it does not closely resemble modern domestic sheep. Its fur is shorter, its horns are larger, and its body is leaner. It turned out to be much more profitable for people to keep these shy animals at home and receive from them not only meat, but also wool and milk. Wild boars began to be kept in captivity in the Middle East about 11,000 years ago. They were a source of meat and durable hides. Their bristles were also used in various crafts. Practically omnivorous and very unpretentious animals began to quickly gain weight and reproduce willingly. During the process of domestication, due to improved living conditions, they lost their thick bristles. There are now more than 1 billion domestic pigs around the planet. This is the most numerous farm animal. Domestic cows appeared about 10,000 years ago simultaneously in several regions: the Middle East, Altai, and North Africa. Their ancestors were wild aurochs, the last of whom died in the early 17th century. The main reason for the extinction of these animals was hunting. Since the Stone Age, people have organized driven hunts for large ungulates. But in parallel, there was a process of domestication of aurochs, and now their descendants live side by side with people. It's noteworthy that in India, the process of domesticating cows happened a little differently. Firstly, this only happened 7,000 years ago. Secondly, the ancestor of the Indian domestic cow was the wild zebu bull. And thirdly, wild representatives of this species still exist. The most ancient evidence of keeping domestic goats was found in the territory of modern Iran. During excavations of ancient settlements located in the Zagros Mountains, a large number of bones and skulls of these animals were found. Their age ranged from 10 to 11,000 years. Genetically, these goats turned out to be an intermediate link between wild Persian goats and modern domestic goats. Cats, like dogs, have become companion animals for many people. That is, they were not tamed to be eaten. These animals are intended to bring certain benefits to the farm. Cats became pets approximately 9.5 thousand years ago. The first mentioning of this fact is associated with ancient Egypt. Cats were also actively used in the Middle East. The ancestor of the modern domestic cat is considered to be a wild Libyan, also known as Nubian or North African steppe cat. Scientists associate their appearance in human homes with the advent of agriculture. Various rodents regularly appeared in the barns where grain was stored. Wild cats began to hunt them, and people tried to feed such useful animals. It's noteworthy that genetically, modern cats, except for specially bred breeds, are practically no different from their wild ancestors. About 8,000 years ago, the inhabitants of India and Southeast Asia began to bring bank chickens from the jungle and settle them near their homes. These jungle fowls still live in the wild. They're friendly and practically not afraid of people. Externally, they're also not very different from modern domestic chickens. Roosters have a slightly brighter color, and hens are brownish with yellow or green feathers in the neck area. Also, female banker chickens don't have tufts. Since ancient times, people have actively hunted large ungulates, including various types of horses. For example, the Indians of North America completely exterminated wild mustangs on their continent. They were able to acquire horses again only after the arrival of white people. But about 6,000 years ago, the Botai people, who lived on the territory of modern Kazakhstan, decided that such animals would be much more useful in a tamed state. According to another version, the domestication of the horse happened somewhere in the southern Urals. It's not for nothing that the so-called Sintashta culture was born there about 4,000 years ago. It was the inhabitants of the South Ural steppes who gave the world the most formidable weapon of the Bronze Age, war chariots. Of course, the first domestic horses were also considered a source of meat and milk. They began to harness them to plows, carts, and chariots much later. At that time, horses were no different from their ancestors, wild tarpans. These horses were much smaller and more unprepossessing than modern horses. Unfortunately, there are no longer any of them left in nature. The last tarpan died in 1918. Looking at their steppe neighbors, who actively used horses in their farming, the Siberian people tried to tame the reindeer. They managed to do this about 2,000 years ago. Previously, it was believed that this happened 1,000 years later, but recent discoveries of harness elements have put everything in place. For the Finno-Ugric and Siberian peoples, living in the very north of the Eurasian continent, as well as the indigenous people of Canada, reindeer have become the most valuable resource. They're actively used as mounts. Deer also serve as a source of meat, milk, and hides. At the same time, domesticated deer are genetically no different from their wild relatives, except that free-living deer are larger in size. At the same time, both of them are forced to roam from one pasture to another. This happens because deer are omnivores and leave virtually no vegetation behind. They don't even disdain small animals like lemmings. Representatives of camelids are another important ungulate for humans. They've been domesticated on almost every continent. The ancestors of the first modern species appeared about 40 to 45 million years ago in North America, about 25 million years ago. Some of them moved to Asia and some to South America. They first gave rise to camels and then to llamas and their relatives. During the Pliocene era in North America, camels became extinct along with the rest of the megafauna. Now in South America, there are two types of domestic llamas. There are llamas and alpacas. It's believed that they were domesticated 5,000 to 6,000 years ago. There are also two wild species now living in the Andes, the guanaco and the vicuña. Dromedary camels have survived only as domestic animals. They live in the Middle East and North Africa, but in the 19th century, they were introduced to Australia. Over time, these camels simply went wild. Now there are more than 1 million individuals living there, and Australia is the only place where dromedaries can be found in the wild. Bactrian camels live in Central Asia. At the same time, a small number of their wild relatives, the haftagai, have survived here. It's difficult to say when Asian camels were domesticated, but in any case, this happened from 3,000 to 6,000 years ago. Throughout its history, humanity's domesticated a large number of different animals, but not all of them can be fully called homemade. Monkeys, birds, reptiles, and insects live in people's homes. People even raise crocodiles on special farms, but it's difficult to call these animals truly domestic. Some of the tamed animals can no longer live without people. Others quickly run wild if a person's not around. Some species of domestic pets are capable of interbreeding with their wild relatives, while others do not even reproduce in captivity. Man actively uses these creatures for various purposes, but naturally, no one was interested in the opinion of the animals themselves during domestication. We thank you all for watching the video till the end. If you found this topic interesting, we suggest you pay attention to the previous videos. They tell about the evolution of life on our planet, unusual animals, and the relationship between man and nature.